Hello everyone and welcome back to News from the Real World. I am Kat.
Atitra.
Quinn!
Eleanor.
So Quinn, why don't you start us out talking about prison plays?
I bet we can all agree this was probably the most worthy article this week. This is Our Town in Sing Sing. It's from lohud.com. It's an editor's pick. And sadly, it generated no user comments, which was a real shame. But this was fantastic. It's about this organization called Rehabilitation Through the Arts, or RTA, that goes into prisons in 5 different counties in New York and puts on theatrical productions. And this season they were doing Our Town. And it's about helping prisoners. I mean, think of all the good benefits that art has in our lives, you know, and how it's enhanced us as people. You know, we work well with others. We can work in a team. We can problem solve. Even for a couple of the inmates who have maybe learning and reading issues, just having to memorize a script, you know, has enhanced lives and just gives a person a sense of value at the end of the day of creating a work of art.
And just like understanding other people through looking through like a character's eyes.
Empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy is huge in a person, in the development of a person. So.
Yeah. And I think what was really interesting about this article is that the inmates, when they were talking about it, were kind of saying these things that were like, this showed me like empathy with another person who I didn't think I was going to be able to relate to, because it's, you know, like, the 13-year-old girl sitting at the soda bar,
turn
like,
of the
talking
century
to
in New Hampshire. This has nothing to do with my life, you know,
Right.
coming from the mean streets of whatever. But
but all of them were able to kind of relate to it in a way that was like really interesting to read about too.
So, you know, the play deals with death as well as, you know, choices and courting, love, you know, very, you know, universal human things. What else did you guys get out of it?
I thought it was really, I don't know if, it was interesting and I think a little controversial when it talked about, there were some people who felt that people were in prison to be punished, and so why were they being allowed to kind of have fun? And put on a play and, you know, dress up and play with props.
Well, that's, you know, I think that's very endemic of our prison society. It's really geared towards punishment as opposed to rehabilitation and fixing, helping a person fix a life.
But it's also a misunderstanding of the arts in theatre, which is that it's dancing around in silly costumes and having
it's
fun.
all fun. No, it's a lot of work,
like
actually.
Work, and that it's serious, and that it can teach you about humanity. You know, it's like I don't think they would begrudge them like taking a literature class or something like that. You know, if they right.
You're right.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, what the organization was saying too was that who would you rather be released kind of back into the world? Somebody who's been sitting there for 20 years, kind of being bitter, or someone
staring at the wall,
who's, you know, learned and used kind of that experience to learn something and, you know, teach themselves how to, you know, communicate with people or how to work in a team or that, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting.
The prisoner itself is like sitting there and living in the prison is like kind of like, what is it, time counting game? You just like, you waiting game. The waiting game. You wait for them to feed you. You wait for them to the cell door to open.
I thought it was cool that the woman who started RTA, Catherine Hawkins, one of the things that she set up in the productions is that the inmates who are actually interviewed to come into a production, they once in production, it's never discussed and never brought up what the inmate is in there for, and it runs the gamut from, you know, petty theft, armed robbery, on up to murder, and nobody knows on the production. And they have volunteer for the few female roles on a production. They have volunteer actresses that come in and they're interviewed as well for the production. Great.
It was the best article of the week.
Yeah.
So everyone should
check it out. Our Town in Sing Sing.
Yep.
Check it out.
Great. So So, teacher, why don't you tell us about some sound stuff?
Soundboard. This is by David Cornell, and this is Editor Pick. So the soundboard. Well, I should say this guy who is Dave Grohl, who is a former drummer of Nirvana, this band Nirvana,
Foo Fighters.
and currently the
Dave
Foo
Grohl.
Fighters, right? And he bought this soundboard, the NEF 8028.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a serious one. From the Sound City Studio.
Yeah.
Well, Sound City
Got all the
Studio.
equipment.
Sound City Studio is the studio that run for
Legendary albums
Legendary-
were produced there.
yeah,
in
and
Van Nuys,
this soundboard
California.
actually record many of the legendary songs,
Yeah.
whoever
Like Tom Petty recorded there.
Neil Young
Yeah,
or Nirvana
yeah.
themselves, and now because this is analog,
Yeah.
and when they decided to not pick up to the digital
Yeah.
things, they just left behind, and now they have no more sound
So-
studio.
It's a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's a
but
dinosaur.
The musicians all feel the music produced on it is superior.
Yeah, and now Grohl bought this sound studio, this soundboard, and then settled in his own studio and producing a single by using this one.
Yeah.
And he was quite surprised how great this soundboard is. So he was like, this is something that is very good, better than any other things that we have now, all these digital things. But then this is kind of old fashioned. So he's kind of filming the documentary about this.
Yeah, Sound City is the
Yeah,
name of
the Sound
documentary.
City.
The trailer
This
was
is a
cool,
love
too.
letter from him to the legendary sound studio. You can check that out. So now is the question is that what do you think? Analog or something that might have considered as because now vinyl is coming back. Now it's become something that's vintage. But what
Right.
about this kind of technology?
Well, it seemed like
Now
all
that
the-
everybody can produce a song in his own bedroom.
Yeah, yeah. It seemed like the musicians that are covered in the article seem to prefer the old soundboard as opposed to doing something on your MacBook. you know?
Yes.
Well, I think the comments on this one were actually more opposite than they usually are in these things, because half of the people were saying, well, it's this great technology and it's everyone should, recording a song should be something that is kind of protected and considered something special, and so still having these things
Yeah.
is something
Yes.
that's worthwhile, whereas the other half were saying, well, no, it's great that everyone can just record in their bedroom, and why would we need to go to a studio and pay thousands of dollars to record a song when you could do it sitting at your kitchen table with your MacBook?
Easier. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's sort of like the debate between digital video and,
Mhm.
35 millimeter actual film,
Yeah.
Or
it's more
high out
accessible,
literary
but-
fiction
yeah.
versus fan fiction,
Yeah.
internet novels, kind of.
Well, I also think part of it is kind of the musicians reminiscing about the good old days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
oh,
the
when you
nostalgia.
could, make millions
Yeah.
of dollars on making a record.
Tom
and-
Petty
yeah.
recorded on this soundboard.
And
you
It's
know,
like once you're in the industry and once you've made your mark, you don't remember how hard it was to get started.
Yeah,
So of course you
Yes.
want to keep it closed off and keep it
Yeah.
for yourself.
I thought it was a funny tidbit how the guy tried to sell the soundboard
Yeah.
that
Yes.
Thriller was created on, and he initially wanted $1 million and then dropped it down to
Ended up for
$250 and then it's
$17,000
$2,000 on eBay. Yeah.
It was
If you have new
Cool.
technology, the old stuff sometimes just falls by the wayside. So,
Keep
Quinn.
up with technology.
Oh.
thinking about technology, tell us about some table
Yes.
saws.
Most popular item.
Yeah. It was. According to Dan Mealy, I always love a good article about table saws.
So do I,
That's
Dan.
an actual
So do I.
quote. 10 things you ought to know about your table saw. This is cool. It's from erichart.com, who is the prop master for Triad Stage in North Carolina. Go and see. It just gives you a rundown on table saws. I'll give you a brief thing. You have two kinds of table saws. You have your contractor, which is portable, and your cabinet, which is,
A
is
cabinet
not,
shape.
basically.
Yeah.
All the TDs are laughing right now, but luckily they probably don't watch this, but they would be laughing. You gotta watch out for kickback.
It's true.
Gotta watch out for kickback as you're feeding your lumber through the table saw, making sure shards aren't flying back into your face. So it's suggested that you sit or you stand to the side as you saw, as opposed to dead on, where you can flying wood can come at you. This was the most grisly image. You should never wear gloves because
Yeah.
a glove can get caught in the saw and then basically chew up your entire, pull your whole hand into it, not just cut a finger and
Whereas
take
if
your
you
whole
don't have gloves,
thumbs
it
up.
just take the finger.
the top of the finger as opposed to
The whole hand.
hand,
The whole
whole
hand.
hand. You gotta watch where your wood goes as you feed through. You don't want it flying and
Find a
falling
friend,
and hurting,
they can help you.
hurting someone. Find a friend, and you need the right blade and the correct blade height.
Good summary.
What
Yeah.
do you guys think? Anything to add about
Well,
your table
being an
saw?
expert in table saws myself, I've just got to say I concur with everything that
Thank
you
you,
said
Eric.
and you
Yeah.
said and that the article said.
Yeah.
I think everyone, it's a great, interesting article.
It's good.
If you like table saws as much as Dan does, you
Definitely.
should check it out.
erichart.com. Check it out.
Our final article this week is entitled Online Color Challenge. It is on xrite.com, and this was a student pick, so students were very interested in learning if they had a color deficiency. So, fun fact that was really the only text of this article is that 1 in 255 women and 1 in 12 men have some form of colored vision deficiency. So,
I'm one
And-
of 225.
and a teacher.
I cannot do it.
So it was basically just it was a gamut of colors that ranged from like pink to green, and then you had to line up these little color swatches in the order to transition the color. Did you guys take this test?
I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you
Oh,
think?
yeah.
How'd you do, Oliver?
35?
Oh.
It's not that good, right?
No.
No.
What did you get, Quinn?
Oh, come on, Quinn.
42.
You're better than me.
What did you get?
All I see is like, okay, this section is pink, this section is green, and what?
What was your
And-
score?
I cannot even remember.
Well,
It's
it was
like-
high.
It was so high. I'm telling you, it's so high because I was like, I don't know. I mean, well, all I see, I don't know. I was like, I try to when I do it. I was trying to like, okay, this one and this one is like some kind of similar, and then when I look at it again, it's kind of like the same.
I mean, I think what some of the comments about this were saying is that something like this is really hard to do on a computer screen because
Yeah.
it just I was having trouble with it too
Yeah.
because I was like, is it glare or is it like
Yeah.
the color?
Sure,
And it seemed like it was oscillating a little bit, which is maybe the point of the test as well. But I don't know, for theater, it's kind of interesting to know for all the designers out there if you have some weird like color deficiency. This is a
Maybe
great
this is
test to
why
try.
Yeah, that's why we're not designers.
Yeah. Great
That's
test
why
to
I'm not
see.
deciding.
Yeah, no, it was
But-
fantastic. It was so
It was
cool.
interesting,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a good
Yeah.
challenge.
So,
Yeah.
if you want
Yeah.
to take a little break from homework and
Yeah.
look at your
Yeah.
color deficiencies, you should check it out. So,
Yeah.
that's it for this week. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we will see you soon.
Bye.
Oh, Our Town was an editor's pick, and Table Saw was
No, you failed.
student pick. Sorry, David Belvers.